Assalamu alaikum. Greetings to all, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen. I continue my series, Do Tell as the blessing you received from God. That's actually the best interpretation I found for what I have been posting in Arabic for the last, I don't know, a month. So I've been getting a lot of kind of like, not requests, but people like I know, few of them, they were saying, it would be but nice like if we know if you because they know me, they're my friends from here, from I don't know, maybe some of them overseas, I don't know, but they would say it would be better to like know what you're saying, we would like to hear it, and they might be influenced somehow. So before I jump into the subject, I want to say a couple things. If you're a bilingual and you know me as like from whatever, we went to school together or something, if you're gonna sit here and try to find mistake grammar in my English, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna find handful of that. So but also at the same time, I would not recommend you watching this video because the idea is not how fluent I am. The idea is I have been talking about some subjects, and I have been asked, like let's say we're sitting and some of the guys are like, or like family members, they don't speak Arabic and they know I had a video speaking of something they would like to know. So the reason why I'm bringing this, I cannot uh, go back and kind of like create 22 more, video or subjects that the one I covered. So actually, I would kind of like leave that to whenever I have been asked, because I might just like do a lot of time of work and then it will not be like used or anything. Because the idea is to benefit like my family, friends, and who speak Arabic, and some people might not even like to hear it. So, but because I have been asked for a bunch of people that it would be better if it's in English, put subtitle. I thought about putting subtitle, laying over voice over video, and it was confusing. So back to the point. If you're gonna sit here and try to find grammar mistake or like whatever sentence or better words, please, like, it's not gonna benefit me. The idea is to get the subjects I was talking about, to make it like, to get my voice heard. You never know. A lot of people are lost, not just us. Anyway, I am still lost. Anyway, so it's just a part of actually acknowledging that we all need help. So I'm gonna have to bring the example because kind of like it triggered the idea of recording my first English video, and I would like to say to those who would kind of gonna sit and kind of judge my language, I gotta have to tell you I'm very proud of the English I know and my accent, which is eventually like even the wording and putting the sentence together. I think in Arabic and then I speak in English, and it might sound like you're actually speaking English in Arabic, and thinking in an Iraqi way. The key is always in the language. But so God help me, God help me, God help us all. Bismillah wa ala barakatillah, tawakkaltu ala Allah. Don't ask me why I didn't interpret this one. It doesn't work this way. So going forward, I gotta have to say that yesterday I was sitting with a part of my like a family, very close family, and people were interested in like what happened with me because I have been here. I've been living here in the United States for around 8 years, and a lot of my friends who like speak English, or they are like from other nations who don't speak Arabic, they know I was atheist, and even closed ones. So then all of a sudden you become like something different, and then people talk and, hey, did you know that he's doing that, or even they see me practicing something. It's kind of confusing to them. So I have been asked yesterday this question specifically, and I was kind of like getting to the point to why do we need to use the religion, what's the point of it, is does God really exist. I wanted to sum it all in one like kind of shot, let's say, and it was impossible because you cannot talk about the subject without being interrupted. That's the problem. So uh, so actually I was interrupted yesterday when the like that window was open and people were kind of like ready to receive, but I was interrupted, and the reason why is Islamophobia. Islamophobia, really quick, is people who doesn't even know what's in the book. They just like attack very bad. So anyway, uh, there is a lot of cures. There is a nice series for Father Suleiman Jusur, sorry, Bridges Foundation. It's called Educate, don't hate, educate, something like that. Knowing about like Islam and all this other stuff, and why do you need to use it. I would not say take it hard, like take it too hard or word by word, but listen to it and filter it and use what you can use. So the whole subject started is how did you like what convinced you from starting like following the religion? Like how come you just a couple of years ago you said there is no God, you believe in the Big Bang and all this stuff, and I still. So jumping into like the main purpose, I was like, look, there is no point at all of using something that doesn't help you. Like if I have 3 cars and I don't use and I only need one, I don't want to keep that extra car. It's gonna cost me a bunch of things. So with that being said, uh, you know, like you gotta practice, you gotta listen to people, you gotta deal with Islamophobic and all this other stuff, and then people will just like walk into you, oh, look at this verse. So basically yesterday there were females asking me, I don't want to like bring details, names, or like relationship. So 2 females were asking me about this, they're part of my family for sure, and unfortunately another person jumped in and started bringing like verses saying, oh, this whole book is not for women, it's bad, don't ever use it, even though like they had the slightest idea about the belief. So anyway, the subject was belief, but usually like personal like experience and bad experience push people to do that. I talked in Arabic about how atheists, like those like atheists, like most known atheists, they started with because they had issue with their fathers. They had like something called like missing father syndrome, or they hated their fathers, or anyway, so they lose the belief in the family, and then it kind of grows with them, and they lose the belief in the law, they lose the belief in like that spiritual power that they have in their brain, and they don't know how to use it. So the subject started with every single human being, all of us, regardless what's your color or where you're from in this planet, you have at least 20% of your brain that you need to fill with some spiritual, imaginary religion, something that doesn't, like something is supernatural that you have to. Even atheists, if you really believe, atheists don't believe in this stuff, you just like joking, because they know none of them saw the Big Bang, none of them is gonna see it. They don't know what's the missing gene between the chimpanzee, monkeys, and the human, and why we're not still evolving, and all these questions. They have to believe in something that doesn't exist. None of them sit with Darwin. None of them know Darwin. None of them read all the books. So they just believe in a bunch of things because they're lazy. They don't go dig into those facts or books. So with that being said, uh, so we started with that 20%. You need to fill that 20%, not more, and not very less. Like unless like in some cases you don't need that full 20%. I only say 20% because that's what I believe in, and I only say what I know. I cannot pass what I know. We have a saying in Arabic saying a man cannot surpass whatever, like what the limit for their knowledge. So I cannot pass my knowledge limit. If someone can like fix what I'm saying, correct it, that will benefit me more than just like sitting on the other end saying, oh, good job, all good. So moving on, the 20% we're talking about in your brains, this is something pushes you very hard to follow, to believe in something spiritually. Then you're gonna ask me, is that like for atheists? Yes, I told you. The atheists just believe there is aliens living in, and that doesn't interfere. The problem is they just don't read the text. They don't really open Quran and see how much it's talking about the theory of evolution. You have no idea, but they are just in denial. Our people are in denial, and the atheists on the other end are in denial. They only read the translation interpretation. Like some people are dumb enough to believe that Like you speak English, why would I bring another person to describe this to you? It's in English. The Quran has been written in Arabic. Why I need another person who died 1300 years ago to explain something written in Arabic and I speak Arabic? If you need a dictionary, you open the dictionary and you see what that words mean. If you get lost even further, read they call it like the sequence. What's happening after that verse? What's coming before this verse? Anyway, one second. Sorry, I just dropped something. I need to have it in my hand. Uh, so, with this being said, now where is the problem laying? Now, those people are just like sitting on the other end, and the media is doing a very great job of separating the people, like the human being, from the religion, for too many like purposes. Like, I'm not gonna even go to details. I'm just saying religion. I'm not gonna say Islam, Christianity. No, no, no. It's always about business. If people start doubt everything, all these masajid, masjids, they call them mosques. Mosque is actually the house for the mosquitoes, so I don't recommend people would say mosque, but this is one of the like funny things. Anyway, so this is some type of like a business. You cannot just come and kill it. They will fight everything. So the media is working from both sides. First of all, the whole atheist thing and like Darwin theory and theory of this is just like recently happened. It hasn't even been 100 years on it. Who can say that I was atheist back in the 60s? You cannot say even like you have interest in the other gender. The, if you ever saw the that movie when that guy Enigma breaking the Enigma, I think it's just the problem. He just got kind of executed because he just had that interest. Imagine you just say like I don't believe in God and all that. It's just hard. They might have say it somewhere, but believe me, they have burned people in churches. They have killed people here now because they are infidels or whatever. They have done worse, much worse in the Middle East, and they're still doing it. Until this day, they like really Muslim believe that Eve gave the apple to Adam, and that's actually it's not written anywhere. It doesn't even say an apple. It doesn't even say anything. If you go back and dig, you will find that Adam, who made the mistake, has nothing to do with Eve, but the male version of Quran. I would call it like the male reading. They want to dominate over women, so they tell them, "Oh, you're cursed because of you. We fell from heaven," and all that. I don't want to say the word and all that stuff. So back to the subject. I was telling those girls, you don't need to use anything, like to keep anything that you don't like. It doesn't benefit you. You don't need to use it. So in the middle of it, I was trying to tell them how is it benefiting me. Brought a couple examples. I was like, look, listen, how would you handle right now all your family? They just might flip in the car and they all die. What's the explanation? Are you really gonna blame the Big Bang? Are you really gonna be able to explain that like physically or chemically? Or you're not. You end up like committing a suicide. You end up alcoholic. You end up in a prison because you will just go and say, "Oh, there is no system. This is," and then deep inside you, you believe that there is a power, but it just gave you a misfortune, and then all your family just died. Or like your son. This is the hardest test that we got to this point. Like, if you being tested it with your kids, this is the hard. A lot of people loses their kids. Like there is too many ways kids under 2 years they might just leave. That's it. It's just called SID, sudden infant death. That's it. And people cannot even still know. Now with Corona right now, you just lose someone you love. Imagine your wife, like you love her for 50 years, and she just get. How are you gonna explain that? I tell you how. You explain this if you let this 20% feed enough from religion. Now it's up to you to choose the right one. But being without is gonna get you lost because you cannot explain how this tree behind me is standing and every single leaf it carries the continuous for this whole planet. Like you can don't rely on my speak. My speak do not rely my speak on Arabic researchers. No, go to the cosmic that called the Cosmo and hear about this. So when Quran speaks that we all came from earth and there was one cell. I don't care about interpretation. I said when Quran specifically say you all came from one cell, and then now there is a on Disney Plus, there is a program or like a series that Will Smith kind of present or like his commentary whatever, uh, and they talk about that single cell. Now our ancestors, God forgive them, they thought Adam came from heaven down to earth, and then Eve just came out of his ribs. You know, so one of the ribs is missing in the guys, and there's an extra rib in the girl, in the woman, and man, and mean like female and male. So a woman came out of male. You know, these stories are not in Quran. These stories has been pushed against from other religions. You have to know what other religions are fighting very hard day after day to keep it down. Anyway, so going back, there's no such thing. You cannot find anywhere where it says Eve came from Adam. This story is belongs to another religion, and I'm not going to go in details. You can go look it up. Anyway, so God specifically say that I created you all from one thing, and then I made from that thing the spouse. It didn't even say the female. I have to see it in Arabic, and then you have to go look for it if you're interested. هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق لها زوجها. Now that last word I said is not the female. When you have a husband, when you have like he's called your spouse, and when I have she's my spouse, that is a spouse. So think about it. There was a single. I will bring back the documentary that Will Smith is presenting. I want to bring back that documentary. They have named that little cell created on Earth 3 billion years ago. I don't know how long. And then they were explaining how it split to male and female, so they can like they can finish that cycle, and then everything came from that. Now think of it. Quran does not interfere with that, but what interfere is the interpretation. What comes with the interpretation is the male reading or like domination over women, because that was the era back then. 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, men were doing everything. If you go dig deeper, like you will find after, like before 7,000 years ago, let's say, or six, it was the opposite. But then the male, I heard that from someone. This is like basically all I do is just like hear from different like places. I don't stop. It's just like I'm like kind of it's something I cannot control. So I have to hear people talking about something. So it turned out male didn't know, like back in like a couple centuries, hundreds, I don't know. Male did not know that his part of creating the baby. So they thought the female is like kind of what brings life, without even like they don't even know there is a sperm, there is pregnancy, all that. They didn't know back then. So they thought just like, oh, I don't even know if they called it wife back then. I didn't even know, but they like animals do. They don't know, right, if they have intercourse or whatever they call it, physical interaction, and then they lay the sperm. They don't know that they're like they have that like the connection that they know this baby because they grow up with them and all that. But then, what happened? They just kick them out. So, and even like because they gotta go figure. So back to the subject, the man. I want to say something. Male is not man. Man, it's gonna sound crazy, but a female can be a man, and a male can be a female. We have that in Arabic. If the male is just like not doesn't do anything and his wife does everything, she's the man. Now that's gonna kind of interfere because I had a like other opinion on that in previous videos in Arabic. So, but still. So back to the subject. Now all this happened because the male did not know that he was the cause. So what happened is the female was the goddess, that she brings life to earth. And then I heard that from a person who did his study, and I don't need to go do it again because I trust that person. And if you don't, just go look it up. So his name is Abdul Wahab al-Misri. He's Egyptian. And he's a very educated person. Like he even came to the state and all that. So the male, that after a couple thousand years, the male start realizing, or I don't know, God maybe influenced them, Why, like sending Abraham? I don't know. God knows. Influence them, and all they just learned based on experience that the male who caused the life in the female womb, whatever you want to call it, and then the table flipped, because now if there is no male, there is no kids. So I am the creator of life. That was during probably, I don't know, Moses, before that, Suleiman, I don't know, I really don't know, but that's what happened. When you know that you're the only person making this company stand, you're not gonna act like you're a servant anymore. No, you're gonna act like the leader. You want everyone to follow what you're saying. I gotta turn the camera because the sun is attacking me, so excuse me. Okay, let's find a good spot. All right, sorry about that, but I just like I don't have all the perfect studios and everything. Maybe one day, inshallah. So back to the subject. Now, after the male knew that they are like I brought the example for the company. If you really think like if you're the only person who making this company stand and they'll just go bankrupt, you're not gonna act like a servant anymore. No, you're gonna ask for a high salary. You're gonna need a big office. You're gonna. So, male realized that back then they are responsible for these babies and all this life because they thought no female creates life just out of nowhere. They don't know. They do have sex, but they don't know that there's a sperm that creating that. Anyway, so what happened is that what brought the how do you call it? That what brought the male reading and kind of domination over women. So whatever you give them, even now, male or like men make more money than women in the same company with the same and the world is fighting that all over like the world, like Europe, America, like whatever you want to name it. If you just really don't believe in that, then you're in denial. So that domination still. So regardless what you give them, anything you give them, you make a law for the country, they're gonna dominate women. You bring a game for PS4, they're gonna dominate women. You're gonna they will make they subject the women now. Like the women body is now a piece of good, like a like they sell it, they bring it, they advertise a new liquor with it, they advertise a new car. They just don't realize how much this civilization thing, whatever you want to call it. I have a name in Arabic, but it doesn't apply right now. Like kind of like this modern life, how much it cost us, but we just don't realize it. And the only balance to keep it back and make sure it doesn't like drive people insane and they want to watch people kill each other in the future is to use that 20%. So I feel like I took everyone watching very, very, very down. But believe me, I enjoy doing this on videos because I don't get interrupted, and that's the thing. And then I can really like I feel like if someone would have talked to me like this when I was 15, it would have changed my life maybe. Anyway, so the interpretation or reading, the male reading or interpretation to dominate the women, caused all this. I would call it dumb laws in Islam. First one, I sit with females and I know what's their problem. Oh, how come that a guy can marry four kids, four women? Sorry, I'll tell you how. Because that doesn't exist. Are you serious? Yeah, it doesn't exist. And I will read the verse and I'll tell you why it doesn't exist. All right. We are pondering now the first verse that kind of kicks out and kind of creates the Islamophobic. It's called in the surah called Al-Nisa, and it's called Women in English, the surah name. So we're looking at verse 3 in that surah, and I'm gonna have to read it in Arabic, and then I'm gonna have to read the English right underneath it. I kept it like this so everyone can see it, not just me bring. So one by one, I'll just ponder this verse with you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإن خفتم ألا تقسطوا في اليتامى فانكحوا ما طاب لكم من النساء مثنى وثلاث ورباع فإن خفتم ألا تعدلوا فواحدة أو ما ملكت أيمانكم ذلك أدنى ألا تعولوا. Now I know this video is in English, so everybody is interested in the English part. So here we go. And if you fear you cannot be just towards the orphan, So that means, I don't know, like I kept this translation. Translation could vary between like one person and to the other. Like when you interpret from one language to the other, especially when the language Arabic has, I heard like it has 12 million different like words, and English contain like maximum is 4 million. So you would think of how many different like verbs, how many different alteration you can like take, different pronunciation changes the whole meanings. Anyway, whoever is interested in Arabic, they know what I'm talking about. Like if any of like the American folks or anyone like went to and took Arabic as a second language in school, they would know what I'm talking about. It's hell. Anyway, all these little things on top of the letters that could change the whole world to too many different things. However, so this interpretation is the newest I've got. It's for just it's for Bridges Foundation. I've mentioned their names. They have that series for Do Not Hate, Educate. It's amazing for people who has a little bit like has Islamophobic like people in their families or somehow. Anyway, it's very needed. So we go back, and if you fear you cannot be just towards the orphans. So this is the verse that created the issue between, like, this is actually created the issue for female in the whole world. Like, how come guys can marry four? Okay, hey, hold on 1 second. Guys cannot marry four just like that. They cannot just go have four different, new wives. That does not apply any freaking where here in the book, and this is the only verse. But if you have been watching the video, you know what I mean by the male reading and the male interpretation to dominate over women. So here's what happens. I hope someone will benefit from that. If you can see the first thing, so like there is a very clear request saying if you cannot be just towards the orphans, then marry the women you like. So here's the thing. I know that other part sounds like, oh yeah, no, but it says marry the women you like 2 or 3 or 4. So here's the thing. I'm telling you, if you cannot carry these 2 boxes, then just open them up and take and just leave them for someone else can do, because you have already 1 box. So does that mean you can take those 2 boxes and keep walking? You're gonna fall, and then you're gonna break what's inside it. So that's exactly the same. Those women that has been allowed to be married, they have to have kids, and they are orphans. Orphan means a kid who, or like a baby under 13 years old that cannot work and provide. So you cannot in Islam go just marry someone who has a baby, okay, has a daughter that's 25 years old, like as an addition to the one wife you have. This is ridiculous. No one ever said that. But we go back. This is the dumb interpretation 1300 years ago, and whoever is in control right now still want to dominate over women. But women is not doing their job. So I'm trying to put some light here. Hopefully, someone will talk, because I am talking, and that's all I can do from where I'm standing right now. So, meaning that those women have orphans, and they need assistance. They need the man to go inside and change diapers. They need the man to wash those kids, maybe 2 or 3. Maybe she has a twin. We're talking back, like if we go back 500 years, people were with no electricity. Women cannot go buy from the store. She cannot just carry. There was no strollers to take the baby to. So there is no way and with all the domination from male, the woman cannot just go open her own store. That was a no. Like even in the West, the women couldn't even go to school back then. Okay, less than 100 years ago, that was a no. I will also refer back to the Breaking the Enigma Code, the movie. When that girl wanted to go on, they were like, "Oh, you're a woman. How come you're gonna do that?" She was like, "Oh, the advertisement doesn't say anything." We're talking about 40, something like that. So hello, that has been 80 years only, not even a century. So we're talking about when we're talking about here, this is more than 1,000 years ago. So be realistic. Anyway, look at the second part. The second part is very important. But if you fear you will not be equitable between your wife and the new one, equitable between your direct kids and those new kids that you just added to the family, then only one, here is the order, only one, meaning the first has to accept it, meaning the first one, the first wife, has to be fine with it, because without that first wife, you don't have a one anymore. Think about that, like mathematically. When I tell you, you have to have one of those bags in your hand, you cannot drop that first one and keep walking and you say, I have. No, no. You can go cheat and call it, I am marrying someone else. Now I know a lot of our ancestors done that stupidly because they just didn't understand back then. But God forbid them. God forgive them. They forgot. They don't know back then. However, we're trying to fix things here. So, but if you fear you will not be equitable between the two families, yours and the new coming one, then only one. Look how funny it is. I didn't even look very well to this. How one is like in red right here. I think it has to do with the reading, but for just like for the sake of it. Or consider those whom you might be rightful to possess. Whom married we fight rightful possess. Now that has been a very big issue. People are saying, oh, that doesn't mean so. This other part of and then or consider those, meaning you're single and you're trying to marry someone, but you actually want to maybe like marry someone with kids, but you know you're not ready to be a stepdad. Then you might be able. You might go and just marry someone new. Now you can translate it however you want. This little thing I'm looking at here, it's for you only. Like it's different for me. It's different for your father or whoever is interested in this. It's different for each one. If they fool you and say, no, there is only one interpretation and one they call it tafsir, tell them, shut the hell up. I know how to read this in English and I'll understand from it whatever I want. Now, if you are Islamophobic, I cannot help you. I have too many Arab friends and family members are Islamophobic. You cannot talk to them, like, but are they realistically like uh, following like really what's supposed to be done? Yeah, of course. I can find a lot. I know a bunch of people who like got drunk and then hit someone, killed someone. They didn't even spend one night in jail just because they are rich. For example, Justin Bieber, whatever. He was drunk and he was racing and all that stupid shit, and he didn't even spend one night in jail. So that don't tell me everything is perfect except Quran. And I said, if you want to follow the bad stuff, you always find bad stuff. So that's the first one. And then look at the end. Those whom are you rightful to possess. This is more likely to make you avoid bias. So don't make a mess. To avoid it, stay aware of that. So if I tell you do not jump from this edge, because you might just like, sorry for the wind. I don't have what it takes to do like clear recording. But we work with what we have. So ذلك أدنى ألا تعولوا. This is more likely to make you avoid bias. What do you get from that? I'm telling you, you could make a mess out of that. You could say that I'm the stepdad and you already have one wife and she's gonna be jealous, 100% sure. That's why it's almost saying like, okay, don't break into this car and steal it because you might get in jail, and then you just end up like 5 years in jail or whatever. So it's possible you go steal it and then have fun for a little bit, like having all. Now, if anyone want to say like, oh, but the interpretation, but tafsir, but the reading for Bukhari, whatever, blah, 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 this doesn't work with me. You want to use your brain? It's right there. Use it. You want to follow just like a dumb person? I don't care. It's up to you. But we're talking about something realistic. We're talking about Islamophobic. We're talking about this verse, and this is the very, very big card that pushes specifically women away from Islam. Now, with that being said, that's all I have to say about this. And then I will just repeat. It's the An-Nisa surah, and Surah An-Nisa, called Women in English. And this is the verse 3. I would recommend downloading the Bridges Foundation as it has the newest interpretation to English if you're interested in reading. That doesn't mean you cannot read Quran if you're not Muslim or atheist or Christian. That's insane. That's not how it works. I have been to churches too many times, so that's not how it works. I've read the Bible. I have an Arabic version of it. That's dumb. Anyway, thanks for listening. Now we go back to the video. So after reading that verse and ponder it, tadabbur, I don't know if that's the right word, and see what does it mean, no married for four. Second one, oh, uh, it says if a woman make a mistake or like she cheat on her husband, you gotta put her home until she dies, and then they stop. They don't continue. They don't continue what comes after. Let's ponder this verse. All right. The second verse we talked about the how the women, if the women make if the woman cheats, um, she will be like they just stop at where she has to be confined in the house until they die. Now I have my own interpretation for that word, because let me start first reading أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم in Arabic, and we'll get to the interpretation. I jumped right away, sorry. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واللاتي يأتين الفاحشة من نسائكم فاستشهدوا عليهن أربعة منكم فإن شهدوا فأمسكوهن في البيوت حتى يتوفاهن الموت أو يجعل الله لهن سبيلا. Now I left it on like this as always. That's how I'm going to be pondering the verses and reading them. That's not the right time for this email. Anyway. As for those of your women who commit, I'm gonna read the second part. You know what? Because I don't know what obscenity mean, or this little word right under number 15 after who commit. That's why there is like always the other reciting. You know, like there's the other interpretation always in Arabic and in English. In Arabic you get the different readings. Sometimes like we talked about like changing those little things on top of it. We call it harakat, movements for the words. Anyway, so what is that now? Let's read it. As for those of your women who commit illegal intercourse, which mean like cheating on their husband or your daughter or something, like having illegal intercourse. This not really. However, call 4 witnesses from among yourselves. Now, please be realistic. What are the odds that your sorry for saying, but your wife or your daughter, like, when was the last time you heard there was 4 witnesses witnessing somebody's committing adultery or that? What are, like, you can barely get 2. This verse is saying 4. You know what that means? That means this woman is doing it in public. It's so easy to bring 4. Do you know what, like, this is insane to think, just like, so the first thing is kind of impossible for this condition to happen. Like, I will tell you, like, I don't know, you will flip the car without hitting anything in it and then not breaking it. It's just like, dude, what are the odds you flip the car without touching anything in it? There is a chance, but 4 people, and mind you, before that, people can hide in a cave. It's not like there was phones. Now, continue. It's not like there was cameras and they get to see them, like, and even until now, like, who can be like now, of course, if you have a video, you can say that, but when you witness, you have to say you saw it with your own eyes. If your testament is not, if you're conscious about like testimonial, whatever, like it's not clear, that doesn't, the Quran does not help you. It's not going to protect anyone from you. You could say that somebody stole your car, you just go get the money while you sold it for parts. People are doing that. People just burn their car and say like, oh, somebody hates me and he burned it. We cannot like, if the person is broken like that, if their judgment, not their judgment, if they like just like corrupted, like they just lie to themselves and to get some. So Quran doesn't help you saying who's good and who's bad. It's saying that if those 4 people saw that wife cheating, or the daughter underage or something, or before getting married, as it's adultery by all meanings. However, regardless, call 4 witnesses from among yourselves if they testify. So now, I don't know, is it emotional? No, so the thing is, like, when you said, oh yeah, of course, man is gonna be hurt, I don't understand. If a woman right now go to a police station and say that this man is the father of my kids, the guy will go to jail for 2 weeks, and then they'll do the checking and all that, and then after that, the guy has to pay child support until the kids are 16 or 17 or 18, depending on the state you live in. Now, but when you get bunch of Islamophobic, they'll tell you, oh no, the male are dominating the world. You know why? Because you're not doing your job. It's the same like, oh, I want to be a millionaire, but you know, God is not. No, no, God has nothing to do with it. You're lazy. You're not getting up early in the morning. You're not doing your stuff. So don't blame other things. It's exactly when we get to this verse, it's like, hey, who said those four like gonna be? Why? It doesn't even say they have to be men. It's just like four of yourself, four among yourselves. So someone like you cannot just like anyway. We said I'm gonna stop here. What are the odds four people see that commit that crime? Anyway. Moving on. Call four witnesses from among yourselves. If they testify, confine the offenders. Okay, that in Arabic, فَأَمْسِكُوهُنَّ. Now that أَمْسِكُوهُنَّ, that the last three letters in that word means it's for women only. It's for like the female. If it was for guys, it would be إِمْسِكُوهُمْ. But when it says إِمْسِكُوهُنَّ, that's specifically for a female. I don't know what they call it, like not a verb, something else. However, so this word means for bunch of women, like you say that. Now, امسكوهن, if you just translate it, if you go right now, it will be, hold. Let's say confine means lock them down in the house. Now, do you know what other religions do to cheaters? I know a religion that's very famous and everyone thinks it's the best in the world. They will bury her and then they will start shooting rocks on her until she dies. That's how it was. And there is a very, 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 very common story about Jesus when he stood in front of her and said, who of you is without a sin? And then they left her without dying. I believe the girl was named also Mary something, the Coptic or whatever. So you know what religion I'm talking about. I cannot go further for everything else. Anyway. So, confine the offenders to their homes until they die. Look at that part. So where did they stop at until they die? Look at that. Look at the or. Or Allah ordains a different way for them. So what does that the first one, yes, they can regret all their life until they pass away, That's a possibility. Yeah. Like a woman or a man even like can do that thing. And then they will just regret all their life, and then they just don't do anything after that. They just die, like they just stay the way they are, or they just stay home. I don't know. That doesn't mean they cannot leave the house. But however, even though there is another condition saying or, so what's that or could get? Yeah, okay. So the wife cheated on the husband, and then they sit, and there four people comes in and testify that this wife cheated. And then the guy tell her like, you know what, we're like, that's it. This is the separation between us. You're from a different, we go separate ways. Where is the problem with understanding it like this? I tell you where's the problem. The problem is Islamophobic. The problem is women all around the world are lazy to dig into these verses and fight their rights. And then at the end, they'll come and say, oh, we have been dominated by male. With all due respect, you're not doing your job. Yes, you will be dominated by everybody if you don't protect what's right, what's right for you. It's not anybody else. Yeah, and then I know a bunch of women also will dominate guys about other things. You gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this. Let's not go to details. But do you really see how this could go different than what has been interpreted back in the past or even until now? People do not read. And if you go with the sequence, you will see different thing. However, look at the second one. I'm just going to jump one more. وَاللَّذَانِ يَأْتِيَانَهَا مِنْكُمْ فَأَذُوهُمَا فَإِنْ تَابَا وَأَصْلَحَا فَأَعْرِضُوا عَنْهُمَا إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ تَوَّابًا رَحِيمًا. It's literally saying if they stop, like both now male and female. If they do it, like so you captured the guy, like you got the guy and the girl. If they do it, I'm gonna tell you, yeah, you gotta take the car from them. You gotta that's what hurts them. Doesn't mean like kill them. It says فَأْذُوهُمَا. And those two of you who commit, two of you, no women, two of you, commit it, then punish them both. So yeah, there is your neighbor and your daughter, or your son with the neighbor daughter. Yes, you punish them both, not both of your wives if you want to go this dumb route. Punish them both. Yet if they repent and reform, mean like I don't know. I know how that means in Arabic. Then disregard them both. Indeed, Allah has always been granting and accepting of repentance, bestowing of mercy. Yeah, that's a hard one for me. But however, do you see how I talked about the sequence. Do you see how the second one saying it's okay, and then my God, my just like if they really stop doing this and they who lives without a sin? Now anyway, this Islamophobic is people just scared of the name. Believe me, nothing else. That's why the only like advice I will give is just educate. Hate, do not hate. Educate. That's all the thing. You just listen to that playlist. It's for Bridges Foundation as well. You go to that site. And that's a low battery. I've been talking a lot. You go to that site and you find, or right on YouTube. Do not do not hate. Educate, and they'll understand what I'm talking about. You might not accept everything they're saying, but there is such thing. Do not hate. Educate. And I'm telling you from where I'm standing right now. Do not hate. Educate. Thank you for listening. So after pondering those two verses, you know what happens? You're sitting. Uh, I brought an example yesterday to the person who interrupted me about this and brought those verses and said it's messed up and this religion is not for women and it's corrupted and men is dominating it. I was like, you are married. Do you tell every single person when you marry about all the fights you have with your husband? The first thing you do. So like I said, those two girls were trying to listen, and then you just bring the worst thing. When you go buy a car, do you think the dealer is going to tell you, oh, be careful because if you don't change the oil, the engine is going to burn? Do you really buy the car anymore? The car benefits you, but once you hear that, like, it kills it. I was real estate, and then the person will tell me, oh, do you think it's safe, everything? I was like, no. If everything you're responsible for, if you burn the house and you don't have insurance, it's gone. Oh, if you don't pay the tax, they're going to take it. So, but that's being honest sometimes. But we're talking about like something you can use. We're talking, this is materialistic, like car and real estate. This is materialistic. We're talking about some spiritual thing that doesn't exist. We're talking about a book. Now, God knows what happened to this book. I am not going to comment on this one, but it's been a long time, and there was too many corrupted regimes took over. So I am not going to put a comment. God only knows. Did it stay the way it is? I hope so. God knows what happened to this book. But regardless, this book is fully 100% there, which everyone believes, including me. Because when I sit and ponder, not just read. If you just read, yeah, okay. You cannot read, and go to the exam. You have to read and understand what's going on. I think the word is ponder. I don't know. Excuse me if it's not. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm not worried about how good my English is. So we go back to the main subject. Are we really? Do we really need this 20%? It's up to you. Now forget about hell and heaven. Hell and heaven. Forget about that. Does it help you go day by day dealing with your kids and your wife and your parents? I answer you yes, and I apply. But it takes time to understand it. I was atheist for 10 years trying to figure out what's going on. And I was brainwashed since I was 6 years old, thinking that all the interpretation that I mentioned for people died 1300 years ago is the right thing. And they will hide all these little verses that kind of cause a problem. I'm gonna not say more because I think I have talked for more than half hour already. I'm just gonna go over one last verse and I'm gonna ponder it at tadabbur with you guys. It says one example, and I'm gonna give the example first before going to the verse. So we have an exam. We all go to tests and exams. You get the answer, the question, like paper, the questions, and this exam is actually gonna make you go to work. It's gonna make you buy the car you want. It's gonna all this. So, do you really, when you get how do you call it? When you get a multiple questions, a multiple answer questions, what do you, what's in those? Let's say like four choices, multiple choices, not multiple answers, multiple choices. What do you get in those? You'll get three wrong and one right. So if you choose the wrong, you will not get that dream car if you keep doing that, not just one time. So when all the religions in the world say it's a test and God created us just to test us, you call it God, Allah, Lord, it doesn't matter. It's the same. I hate when people say, oh no, you cannot say God, Allah, on God, on Allah. Dude, we're talking about some single power that created everything, that is controlling all of this. Call it whatever you want. Call it the big alien. I don't care. It's something that exists. Anyway, so with that being said, what end up happening is I distract myself a lot. So yeah. So you go back to the subject for the exam. So you're in the exam and you get multiple choices. So there is only one right. You don't choose it. You have to repeat the whole year maybe in some countries. Now where are we with the religion? All religions say it's a test. Why you only follow the bad one? Same example as yesterday. You only bring the bad stuff. You just tell the guy who buying the car, oh, you know what? The car could just burn and flip. Yeah, I know that's a fact. But if you say that, it's not gonna. Same with Quran. I'm not gonna talk about other religions. That's what I believe in. I'm not saying I don't believe in the others, but that's what I believe in. So that's what I follow, not believe in. Yeah, that's what I follow. So it has to have something wrong. You would be I'm sorry, but you would be dumb to think everything in this book is just going to benefit you. You would be really I don't want to say this word, but you would be really in denial if you think the question paper is just going to make you pass and get that certificate. Why when it comes to a 20% of fixing all your life from your brain to handle all the crap you get maybe from your family and your parents and your boss or whoever you want to call it, why when I give you a book that contains a 6,200 something verses or other books, why you think everything is good? Oh no, because it said that. And dude, you chose to go wrong. I'll tell you, it is a car. If you drive over the speed limit and you kill someone and then you end up 25 years in jail, whose fault is that? The car or you? It's a tool to use it. It's not a flesh. That's why it's also I want to shed some light. I don't care if you burn it every day. You're actually losing money. People don't get it. It's a tool that has been sent from God to fix our life. It's a tool that has been sent from God to fix our life. Whether you believe in it or don't believe in it, that's up to you. But when I tell you you can use it and it benefits you and it cuts all the frustration, you gotta explain everything. How did everything work? And nobody can explain everything. That's why you go crazy. That's why you go frustrated. Plus you will be frustrated talking to your kids, talking to your wife, talking to your boss. You get fired maybe, and there is millions of examples of people don't know how to follow. Or I have to shed also some light here. If you fill your brain more than 20%, you will be a loser, just like the other person, just like the other side. Because if you just believe everything is being controlled by this religion and you don't need to do anything because God is just taking care of you, that's also going to be an unproductive person. What you going to do? Your kids is going to hate you. Your wife probably is going to leave you. You're going to end up broke because if you don't have money and you don't want to work and everything is just religiously, spiritually, it's dumb. So here we are, we're stuck. Anyway, the example I wanted to bring, it's a verse from Quran. Literally say, if you follow the bad stuff, you only can blame yourself. We do not care. That's actually the explanation. But it says very clear that there is good stuff and there is bad stuff. You follow the bad stuff, only because you want to get lost. It's not my fault. You choose the wrong answer. It's not somebody else's fault. Now, if you believe you can manage your life and understand how your dog dies and understand how your kids get sick for a month or two and understand your kid is born and you have to take care of him for 50 years because they are going to be sick all their life or missing something, for God forbid. Do you really, guys, think how hard it is to explain everything? You're going to end up really in a hospital or somewhere, or you're going to do something much worse than this. So I don't know. That's the thing. Oh, are you using it? Yeah, of course. I sleep and I think maybe I wake up by myself tomorrow. No kids, no family. Why? Because God's probably testing me. And then, will God give you more? Yeah, because He got me here. Now, how did you get to where you got? How many turns you could have taken wrong? Did you really consider all this? You have a business, it's running very nice, it's very good. Have you now with the virus, do you know how many people lost their jobs and then just lost their dreams and all that? Do you really think if you don't activate this 20% of religion, let's call it, and then believe that God splits everything between people equally, and if you get hit here, you're gonna get paid somewhere else? Do you really think when you steal money, that's not gonna show later on in your kids? There's even with the media that I was seeing, and they are pushing all this. Even with that, they slip here and there, and they call it karma. You call it karma. I don't care. Call God karma. I don't care. Call him. But when bad crap happened to you, how are you gonna handle it if you don't believe in anything? At least when it happens to people like who believers, let's say, they will just say, you know what, we are all came here because it's just uh, like some testing ground for us, so it's okay. You are mentally ready to get this news before even it happens, and God will reward you of it not happening. If you think that it's okay, if God wills that your son does not continue living or anything, or your parents dies, you have to know that there has to be a good part of it. Otherwise, you will go crazy. You'll be like, Ali, you're talking nonsense. I am telling you, nonsense is so much sense sometimes, because if you just sit and keep thinking and go crazy about it, you will just lose the rest of your life, whatever left in it. So I prepare you mentally to pass those like hardship. And then when you get rewarded, all you need to do is thank God. It's all from God and it might disappear now. That mentality make you pass a little bit of this hardship. That's why even they live longer. People who like believers, they live longer. They know how to deal with stuff. They understand they don't get the job they want maybe sometimes. But I cannot only blame God for that. Most of the time it was you not doing the job, and then you just bring excuses because you want to hear them. It's not about they are not real excuses. Oh, I wasn't able to finish what I wanted. I wanted to be a doctor. Yeah, you didn't go. You didn't work on it hard. There is 80% I was telling you to go and not sit a day. You want to be a millionaire? Go be a millionaire. That doesn't mean anything. But don't tell me you would be able to explain those misfortune and hardship just because the Big Bang happened and we all came out of coincidence and this and that and Darwin and all this. Dude, you have to be you have to be considerate. I think if this is the right word to say it, you have to be I don't know how to say it anymore. Anyway, well, I took another 7 minutes just trying to say that there is a verse I would say, and I will actually finish with it. I'll tell you how Quran actually clearly say that if you follow the wrong stuff, you only to blame yourself. So I really appreciate it, and thank you for listening to me speaking another language. But like I said, I'm not gonna be sorry saying this is my language. This is what I worked hard for it, with God help and with my parents' help and everything. So uh, for my friends who doesn't speak English, I am sorry, because like I said, there is some other people who would like to hear these stories, and maybe they'll benefit, maybe they won't. We work only because God is watching. God's watching over all of us, and you want to call it karma, whatever. It's up to you. But when you do good, you get good. When you do bad, you get bad. So to wrap it all up, I'm gonna finish with the verse that I mentioned, and I wish everybody good luck and really find the way that you need to find. Maybe you're just settled down and everything is good. At the end, I don't know how I'm gonna say that, but usually I finish with a word saying, everything I got is from God, and my will is to perceive and help other people so we can spread this knowledge and make life easier for others. Why not? And give your experience. Maybe Maybe your kids, your family will not listen to it, but just give it to the world. Maybe they'll listen without even telling you. A lot of people, they have the ego of not listening in front of you, but they will listen when you talk to the phone, and then you post it because they are on your Facebook. Duh. Anyway, I have to say that in Arabic because I like the sound of it. وما توفيقي إلا بالله عليه توكلت وإليه أنيب. والسلام. Alright, hello again. This is the last verse I'm gonna ponder today with you guys, and it's also gonna be the end of the video. So, as I said, the book clearly say that there is some verses that are not supposed to be followed because they could get you lost. And the reason is very like the reason why it's there, because it is a complete book, but that doesn't mean everything in it is good. You just take it and go on. No, there is some wrong stuff in it. Like if you follow them, because it's a test. Just we put the example for the testing, like questions, so multiple with choices. So with that being said, you're only to blame yourself if you follow those paths. So I wanted to bring that. I want to put some light here on this in this verse from Al Imran, which is like the family of Imran is the prophet. He's the father of Jesus of Virgin Mary. So just if you want to know who's Imran. So anyway, um, speaking with I'm going to start with the Arabic and then we'll move on to the English part. There is two translations. So whoever want to keep this, you can just snapshot screen it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الرجيم هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء تأويله وما يعلم تأويله إلا الله والراسخون في العلم يقولون آمنا به كل من عند ربنا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. Alright, so let's go to the English part. I'm going to start with the first one. We can read both of them. It is He who sent down upon you, the Prophet, the scripture, meaning like the book, basically. Some of its signs, those are the verses we talked about, are explicit. They are the foundation. Those are the ones, like those are like the 10 commitments, let's say. It's the foundation. They didn't even say it came new, it's just the foundation of the scripture. While others are equivocal. I translated this word to Arabic because I wanted to know what does that mean. It means like not very clear. They get you lost purposely. God put this word, not me, not Prophet Muhammad. No. God intentionally put those bad ones because He want to test who's good and who's bad. If I put you in jail and you don't steal, that's not because your intention are good. No, because you don't have the opportunity to steal. So I give you the test. I give you the car, and you have to drive 40 miles or less. You drive more. Yeah, I know. I'm not giving you a car that drives only 40 miles. So use your brain. Be reasonable. Anyway, it is He who sent down upon you the scripture, some of its signs, of course always low battery, some of its signs are explicit, they are the foundations of the scripture, while others are equivocal. So, as for those whose hearts swerve, now I'm sure like English speakers know what this word mean. In Arabic, I know what it means. It means something not good. It means like they're not. Let's go to the second one. Those who with deviant hearts, the other one saying. So those are the two interpretations we have. I am assuming, I am 100% sure that this is not good. This is some person like you don't trust. Some person seeks to do something wrong. However, I'm not English professional in language. So they follow after that swerve word, if I'm spelling it, if I'm pronunciating it right, they follow whatever is equivocal of it. Okay, so they leave the foundation purposely and follow those bad verses who has been put by God. Why do they follow it? Let's see. Seeking tribulation and seeking its interpretation. So that first one not very clear for me. I'll read the other one. Those with deviant hearts follow the elusive verses, seeking to spread doubt through their false interpretation. So they think they know it, and then they spread doubt. Who spreads doubt? Mostly atheists. They do spread doubt. But this part also like falls under people think they are religions, and they create all this mess and dumb rules we talked about, like how they are wrong. Anyway, so going back, false interpretation. But none grasp their full meaning except Allah. That's it. That's the end of it. No one can tell you what's in this book. Forget it. It has been said. Like, it has been said. So none tell you this is full only except Allah. As for those well grounded in knowledge, people like reasonable about this and they know very good, God may make us one of them. They say, we believe in this Quran. It is all from our Lord. You take the whole thing. What you don't know how to understand, what you don't understand, you don't spread, because it could spread doubt and then cause problems, and they create all these radical movements for the last 50 years we've been hearing about over the news, or these Muslim radicals, and even could go worse, or like marrying for or whatever. All these has been put by God purposely. You are in denial to agree. Like, I'm talking about the Muslim part now. Muslims are in denial and they say, oh no, everything in this book is just perfect. And all right, why don't you just shush it right there and read this verse with me? Because that's a lie. God said very clearly that there is something wrong here. If you follow it, I'm testing you. Be careful. If you follow it, you're just gonna get lost and you become the worst or whatever. You would, God would rather you become atheist than following these, because that causes doubt, and atheists cannot, like, maybe they're not interested in delusioning other people or whatever you want to call it. As for those well grounded in knowledge, they say, we believe in this Quran. It is all from our Lord, but none will be mindful of this except people of reason. No one will say that whatever I just said, the verse, like, only people with reason. So I cannot help you if you're people of no reason. If you just look for trouble, if you just have that swerve heart or deviant heart, it doesn't matter if I put you in jail, if I put you in the United States, if I take you back to Iraq, it doesn't matter. You will always find something. For something wrong to follow, and then after a while, a bunch of people claim they are Muslim. They do this bad stuff, who has been put by God purposely to test people. And it doesn't matter. God said, like, if you guys all pray and become believers or not, who cares? It's just a whole thing. The whole thing is just, it just is not worth it. You could lose your life for a bullet like 50 cents. Not even 50, it could be like 10 cents bullet. You and your family, or you could drive, like, going to a vacation, they all die. This whole life is just doesn't have a lot of meaning. But careful. That doesn't mean you don't work and strive, because God told you to work. And I could bring, there is one says, like, you have to look and see. قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Say to the Muslims, walk and find and search how did the evolution start, and how did the life started. قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ بَدَأَ الْخَلْقِ. Say, Muhammad, to walk and search and fight and see how did the creation started on this planet. And then they will just say, like, oh, Adam, and all this bullshit nonsense that has been said 13 years ago. And you cannot blame those ancestors, because they have left, and that was their knowledge level. We have a different knowledge level. I was arguing with a guy the other day. I was like, dude, what they used to do in months, including the Prophet, I could do in 3 days, in one day. In 1 hour, and with my phone, I'll collect all the research, I print it, I'll translate it to 10 words. They get offended. That's the thing. That's what's missing. And what's happening on the other end is Islamophobic is not starting. People are losing what's beneficial here. And again, to, like, say that again, if it doesn't help you, if it doesn't ease your life and your hardship, and make sure, like, you're mentally ready to face this, leave it. We just work. I will repeat. We just work for God. That's it. If people see it or doesn't see it, God is watching always. Anyway, Thanks for being so patient. I know this video have taken more than an hour, but this is important, and I don't know if it's gonna be more of English videos or not. I enjoy it, but we'll see the reaction from the people. Uh, Back to the video. Actually, no, back to the video. No, that's it. I've already said وما توفيقي إلا بالله عليه توكلت وإليه أنيب والسلام.